Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.
Evidence is evidence. It's public. Everybody can look at the evidence and assess it, and eventually, if there's enough evidence, come to the same conclusion.
For newcomers and old-timers alike, the Chloe Sanctuary hopes to give you insight into the health and happiness of your companion parrots. We hope to help you build happy homes using reliable and proven tools. The best homes are built on a rock-solid foundation. And the best foundation for a happy home is the bedrock of science. When we stand on the shoulders of giants, the scientists who have worked long and diligently to understand our companions, we can reach new heights of understanding. And understanding is the key to success. What does avian veterinary medicine have to tell us about our feathered friends? How can we prevent illness, see the signs of disease before it's too late, and care for our birds through ill health? What light does behavioral science shed on their nature, needs, and hopes? How can the tools of behavior shaping make our homes happier for us and our companions? How can we deal with biting, screaming, or other misbehavior? What is it like to live among parrots? Let them roam around about you and share a life with them. How much freedom do you give them? What happens if you form a bond of trust with them? Watch and see what understanding their true nature can do for you. Come with us on a journey as we do more than examine a parrot's world. We live in it. Make some popcorn and bring in a few wood blocks. Let everyone have something to chew and a comfortable place to perch. Cockatude is a presentation of the Chloe Sanctuary for Parrots and Cockatoos, a nonprofit charity dedicated to the empowerment of captive parrots and public awareness.
Hi, and welcome to Cockatude, Cockatoos with Attitude, Episode 39, Shaping Behavior, Developing Second Sight. In our last episode, we were talking about actually seeing behavior and not labeling it. See, when you're looking at someone like Cecil right now, you could say he's staring at my face. No, the best thing to say is he has his head turned towards me and his eyes facing me. Isn't that right? Yeah. Feathers are close to his body. Right there. So what do we do with this looking and observing and calling a thing what it is? At least calling it what we can actually observe to be true. What are you saying, Snowball? Well, today we have with us, before we get too much into this, we have our singer over here. Peach is doing her aria. And we have Cecil the bird. Hi, Cecil. And we have Babaloo. Snowball up there on the perch. And we have Salamander down there playing. And we have Peaches up on the big perch. If you'll notice, Peaches likes to sit on that big perch. And if you think she's always sitting there kind of quietly, that's not true. She spends a lot of time commenting on things. It's just she tends to be pretty quiet when we're actually doing a production. Right? So what we looked at last week is observing behavior. You don't have a mean bird, you have a bird that lunges, or you have a bird that strikes at you, or a bird that bites, bird that runs away. You don't call that a fearful bird, you call that a bird that runs away. The reason being we don't know the cause of their behavior. We don't know we're not psychics, we can't get inside their heads. And just by way of note, it's been a heck of a week. I just had a tooth extracted. I got a... Peaches, get off the floor. Come here, Peach. No, not on the floor. Come here. Come here. Get off the floor. Come on. Ah, this one. She'll get on the floor and then she'll start. I like you better over there because you're better in the camera, but nobody else. Don't slide under me like you did yesterday. Then I got a call from Costco, a robocall, and it said that they had issued a warning saying that there was possible listeria infection, and if it was contaminated with listeria, that'll kill a parrot. So I had to lug 115 pounds of food back to Costco and replace it with other types of food. So they've got a little change in their diet, haven't you? A little more cauliflower and broccoli and a little less green beans and peas, right? I think you can handle it though, Peaches. I think you can handle it, Peach. Peach? What are you doing over there, Snowball? You'd make a good fireman, Snowball, you know it? Except you couldn't take the smoke. I don't think they make any respirators this size. And those weren't the only things, but the other thing is that I found out that coffee is now affecting me just the opposite as what it used to. If I take coffee or I drink coffee within a half hour or so, I actually get really tired and woozy. So I had to give up coffee. So bear with me on this episode. I think we'll get through it. And as they say, the rehome must go on. You guys aren't going to fight, are you? Bob? No. Come here. Come on. Come here. Aw, good boy. Yes, Cecil. So what we do is we look at a behavior like Cecil's right now, okay? Now let's say you want to lessen that behavior. You don't want him clacking his beak at you. Maybe in the past he's done the same behavior and he's nipped. So there's a number of ways to deal with that. Once you're dealing with a behavior, not a mean bird or an upset bird, but just dealing with a behavior, there's a number of ways to deal with it. You can try offering an object that goes in the beak. Yeah, you don't want that one? Okay, how about this object? You want that one? No? You don't want that? Here's one that's together. You want one that's together? That's more fun for you. So you can offer them something. We have a fancy term we use for this in applied behavior analysis. It's called DRI. It's differential reinforcement of an incompatible behavior. What that really comes down to is that you're offering them an alternative choice of something that will still fulfill whatever desire it is to use the beak, in this case. No. So that works a lot of the time. If you have a bird that likes almonds, perhaps, and they're doing this behavior and it makes you nervous, if they've got that almond in their beak, they won't be doing that behavior. So this is a powerful tool to use. But again, you have to use it in conjunction with the behavior. You don't want to try to use it, I'm using this because this bird is mean. No, that doesn't work. You have to say, because this bird clacks its beak and occasionally will lunge, then you can give them something like this. Now, other ways of dealing with this kind of thing. Come here, Cecil. Come on. Hi, Cecil. Hi. Hello. Just offer them something social. Cecil loves to be talked to, don't you, Cecil? He just had his first word not too long ago. Hello. And that's an aside to training, but we'll talk a little bit about teaching a bird to talk. With Cecil, the methodology was I wanted him to learn the word hello. So what I would do is I took a little song. You'll recognize it, I think, if you're old enough. What are you doing down there?
Hello.
You want to come up? Come on. I thought you wanted up. Milling around, walking around in circles and looking up. I kind of figured that meant want up. So I took the Popeye the Sailor song and turned it into Cecil the Cockatoo. Hello, it's Cecil the Cockatoo. Hello. He loves this thing, but he's not doing it right now. But he said hello for the first time, didn't you? Because he hears it over and over again in that song. And around the place too, because the other birds say it. He's got a cute voice. If we could ever get him to talk, do you want to talk? Say hello. Say hello. Not going to say hello? Okay. So in this case, I just brought him up from a behavior that he was doing, which was clacking his beak. Brought him up and started talking to him. Took him out of that situation and moved him into another one. And just the change of the environment and the situation, he's no longer clacking his beak. We hope you will consider supporting us on Patreon today. This is how it works. We produce up to 2 videos a month. As a patron, you pledge to give us a donation, whatever you feel is right and meets your budget. Patreon gives us your gift monthly. You can easily set a limit on how much you donate a month. You can change the amount of your pledge at any time. Your gift will allow us to continue bringing you entertaining and informative videos. Patreon.com/Chloe Sanctuary. We look forward to your participation in Cockatude. Now let's say you didn't want him sitting on your arm just staring at you. Okay, he's not staring at me, but sitting on your arm, eyes forward, kind of sitting like his porcelain statue in this case, if you look at his behavior. His feathers are close to his body, his eyes are round, he's not exhibiting any behaviors that could mean that he's going to start lunging or anything along that line anytime soon. So let's say I don't want this particular behavior. Instead, I want him to be, let's pick something. I want him to be more active, okay? Not clacking his beak, but spreading his wings. So let's see if we can get him to spread his wings. Now, looking at this behavior of just sitting, I'm now going to just start getting him to do something. That's clinging to my hand. Okay, step up, step up, step up. Good boy, step up, step up. Come on, step up, step up, step up. Come on. Oh, that's my boy. Good boy. Now step up, step up, step up, step up, sweetie, step up. Okay, step up. Come on, step up, step up, step up. Now, okay. Da 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 da. Cecil, Cecil, Cecil the bird. Cecil, Cecil, Cecil the bird. Cecil, Cecil, Cecil the bird. Yeah. So what I did was I took a behavior he knows well, although he was acting like he didn't want to do it. And again, we don't know what they want. I had him step up and then step up and then step up. I had him do that several times. And then I took and started to toss him. And with him, if he's alert enough and if he's been doing something and you toss him, you can generally get those wings out. So I took a bird that was just sitting and kind of sitting like a porcelain bird statue. And I got him to put out his wings. So what else could we possibly get him to do? I've got one bird here. There's a lot of other birds around, but let's just stick with the one we have. Now, before he was clacking his beak, do you think we can get him to clack his beak? We can try. I actually have never tried this before, so we'll see. Now, his current behavior is just sitting eyes forward, about 12 inches from my nose, And I'm going to see if I can get him to clack his beak. I'm going to start touching his beak and getting, there's that little beak, there's that little beak. There's that little beak. I'm trying to get you where the people can see you. Yeah, you're turning the wrong way. They can't see you. Let's get you over here where we might be able to get people to see. And you're turning your head away again. I want you to turn this way. This way. This way. You're not going to do it? Do 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 do. Yeah, it's a Cecil bird. Can we get you to clack your beak? Clack. One way to get a bird to do something is to to do something they can model. Birds are capable. Parrots are capable of both modeling and vicarious behavior. So in modeling, they duplicate what you do. You know, it's a very nice snowball. It's an interesting effect. We could use that like on disco night. What do you think? Is it time for Saturday Night Fever? Is it? We're trying to get him to clack his beak. I don't know if I can get him to do it. I've never tried to actually get him to clack his beak. But I'm going to try to focus on getting him to move his beak a little bit. By getting him to model what I do. They also work vicariously. And what vicariously means is if you put your hand on the stove and you scream and pull your hand off, and it's obvious you hurt your hand, they probably won't go over and put their foot on that spot. They learn by watching others make mistakes, which is not common among most animals, but they do. They are smart enough to do that, aren't you? So Cecil, are you going to clack your beak? Clack your beak? He's just looking at me. Just looking at me. Are you just looking at me with those eyes? No beak clacking? So I can't capture it here, so what I would probably do is literally try to capture that behavior, as at some point where he's clacking his beak, give him a reward, something he likes. He likes papaya, he likes little bits of walnut, so I could use his walnut's the best probably. I could use a little bit of walnut and make him recognize that I like it and probably associate it with a word like clack. So I could teach him to clack his beak by capturing the behavior at the moment it happens and offering him a treat for doing it. So when he was down here and he was clacking up at me, if I'd offered him a little treat and told him, you know, the good bird, and said clack to him, like clack, clack, eventually he would associate the word with the behavior and meaning a treat. Right? Right? Let's see what other kind of behaviors we can get him to do. Okay, he's sitting on my fingers. What if I prefer to have him sitting on my leg? So we just try to move him down to the leg. Sometimes it's just that easy. You want him on your leg? Okay. What if I want a hug from him? Okay, I've got him doing all kinds of things. He probably thinks I'm crazy. Can I have a hug from a seesaw? Can I have a hug from a seesaw? I'm just observing his current behavior and thinking of ways I can cue him to come in closer and let me pat him up close. Hi, Cecil. Hi, Cecil. Hi. Hey, Cecil. How about a hug? How about a hug, Cecil? Gonna give me a hug? Just a little hug? Aw, just a little hug. Just a little hug from the Cecil the bird. From that big Cecil. The big Cecil bird. Good boy. Good boy. That's a good boy. Let's work a little with Bob.
If you are enjoying our videos, we hope that you can find it in your heart to support our work. It costs between $25,000 to $30,000 a year to care for our flock of heartbroken and abused birds. Most of our birds came with feather destructive disorder. Even a basic exam with blood work costs $300. Medical emergencies cost us thousands a year. We are a non-profit, and donations are tax-deductible to the full extent of the law. We need your support. Birds deserve a happy and healthy life. Become our patron at www.patreon.com/Chloe Sanctuary to support us on a per-video basis, or donate at our webpage today.
Let's see if I can get her to stay on my leg. Would you go down here for a second? I want to get Bob. Babaloo, come here. Bob. Now Bob is he's a sulfur crested, and they tend to be pretty active. They're not very snuggly. Not very snuggly, are you? No, you're not. But we can probably get him to do a couple of behaviors. Let's see if we can get him to. Let's see if we can get him to bark. Now, if you, they'll often pick up sounds from their environment. And Bob was around a bunch of dogs for a long time, so he has the barking thing. But to get him to bark, the first thing I got to do is get his attention. So let's get his attention. Right now, you see him looking down in this area. That's his territory, and he's trying to defend it. So, come here, come here, come here. Woof, 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 woof. Oh, oh, woof. Bob, woof. Bob, woof. Bob. Woof. That's an interesting behavior. I wasn't planning on this one. Babaloo. Woof. Bob, woof. Bob, woof. Woof, woof. Oh. See if I can get him to do the behavior. Hey, Bob. If I can get him to do his kissing behavior. Bob, kisses. Aw, good boy. Bob. Bob, kisses. Good boy. Kisses. Ah, good boy. Good boy. Now he wants to go down here, okay? He wants to go into his little territory. So what I'm going to try to do is to divert that into something else, where he's going to do something else. And you can see he's been trying to get to that spot for quite a while here. He just keeps trying to go down there and go down there. Now, see if I can divert his attention using, I'll use Cecil to divert his attention. Come on, Cecil. Come here. Cecil. You big silly. Snowball, I think that means stay away. Hey, no, that wasn't really nice. You be nice. Oh, that wasn't nice. Be nice. Be nice to him. He's your friend. Isn't quite the way I wanted it, but he's now not trying to get down to my side. What I did is I brought in a social contact for him. So he had a social situation to deal with. Now I'll let him go to his spot. You want to go to your spot? Hi, what are you saying over there, salamander? Now salamander has picked up a behavior. He picked up the behavior from her. And what Sugar was doing, in what she does, she makes a low cry sound. She goes, ah, ah. Well, because I recognized that she needed something, I would go over to her when she made that sound. So he, using that modeling capability that parrots have, saw that she made that sound, and she got... I see you down there clacking. I see you. Yeah, if I had a treat, I could start training you to clack. So he started to imitate it. The only thing is, he's 10 times louder. So Sounds like someone is killing a parrot. It's actually what he sounds like. How's it going, Bob? Everything come out okay, Bob? Let me see. Okay. It sounds like in the movie Dumb and Dumber, where Jim Carrey says, you know, he's got the most annoying sound. It sounds almost exactly like that. So, what, Snowball? What? Snowball. 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 You two, no fighting. Well, you walked away from your spot, Bob. You be nice, no fighting. Cecil, come on out of his spot, please. Come on. Now, this is another thing. You have two birds in a situation. One bird's trying to push the other bird out of an area. Probably your best bet is to separate the two. Watch your hands when you do it, though. And first, you have to kind of learn how to manipulate them. And when I say manipulate, negotiate with them. Because sometimes the bird you're trying to move won't want to move, or it will think there can be a territoriality issue. The bird you're trying to move may be mated to you, and if you've done that by accident and you try to move them away from the bird, they may perceive as a threat to you. You may get bitten. It's not just the other bird that's going to get bitten in that situation. They'll bite their mates to warn the mate that this is a problem and you need to, let me handle it. So, it's something to pay attention to. Now, Snowball, can I get you over here, Snowball? Snowball. This is one of the things too. You need to talk to the birds like you would to a child. Emotional, almost like a child talks. You have to be emotional, and you have to show interest, and you have to be. If you're going to try to talk like an English professor, it's probably not going to impress them. So you need to talk in this kind of way. Snowball, what you doing, Snowball? Snowball. 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 Hi. Hi, Snowball. 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 Yeah, look at that snowball. Look at that snowball. Yeah, I wanted him over here, so that works. Now, one of the things that Snowball does, and he was taught to do this back when we used to foster birds, there was the child of one of our foster parents who thought it was cute that he would go after the little spots on your skin. The way I approached it was he would get his beak on you and he'd get his tongue on your skin, and then he would start nipping just a little bit to try to take the spot off. So what I've done is when the tongue is on my skin, I pet him, but the second he starts to nip out the skin itself to try to remove this blemish on your skin, I would take my hand off him and just play with the top of his beak to distract him. So distraction definitely works. Just distracting a bird. And now, it's pretty rare for him to really go after the skin. He'll do it a little bit. He goes after tattoos still, but don't you? The big snowball. The big snowball. Well, I know he's a big snowball. He's a big snowball.
Hello.
It's the end of mating season, and these two males, if there's no female of their species in the room, you have to watch them close so they don't go after each other. The mating urge is strong, and they'll try to fulfill it one way or another, won't you? You don't want them getting into any mating behavior, even with toys. I just recently had somebody commenting that they had bought a toy for their bird, and their bird was feeding the toy. That can be a mating behavior. Males and females will feed each other. What I told them is, as long as the bird is not exhibiting territoriality, as in protecting the toy, trying to keep them away from it, or getting, turning and lunging, that kind of thing, and the bird is not actually trying to mate with the toy, it's probably okay to let them play with it. If those other behaviors come up, then it's probably best to remove the toy. But you also have to be careful that it doesn't cause psychological damage. Sometimes you take a toy away, or you change one simple thing. Someone was telling me that their bird had become, they used the term aggressive, but their bird was biting and lunging. Okay, those are the two things the bird was doing. And she at first said, I didn't change anything. But she was watching the video we have where it shows like there's 8 different things that happen while you're watching the video that you don't see. And she realized that she'd moved a couple of boxes into the room. And those boxes are just sitting there. And he has shown the biting and lunging since that point. So if you're observant, and again, it's difficult. As she said in the beginning, she said that she hadn't changed anything. But yet she'd moved 2 fairly large boxes into the room. And that's a major change for these guys. I mean, that's something completely different in your environment. Some birds can handle it, some can't. With Chloe, I remember ages ago, I was cooking. I've been cooking since I was a kid, and I was making biscuits. I had some Rumford baking powder on the counter. And all of a sudden, I mean, there was a bunch of stuff out, but all of a sudden, she starts giving her alarm sound, which is every 2 seconds. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's an alarm sound, isn't it? No ball. So, it took me about 10 minutes moving stuff around until I figured out it was the can of Rumford baking powder that was causing the problem. And to this day, you don't want to bring a can of that out because she will just have a fit. So, in observation and working with them, like the whole time all these birds are working around here and doing different things, I'm observing their behavior. I know what each one of them is doing, and I generally will have 10 to 11 birds in the room. I don't do that many when I'm videoing, especially now at the end of mating season. It's just difficult. If I had Chloe in here right now, Snowball's in here, that could become a big fight because of the problem that they had when he became mate aggressive. Lorelei will try to mate with Snowball or with Cecil, and if I have to concentrate on talking to a camera, something might happen that will be hard to reverse. And certainly if she became mated to a Snowball or Cecil, that would be a big issue with territoriality and the lunging and biting that comes after that. So when he was beak clacking and I offered him something, that didn't work that time. So what I did was I changed my tack and went to getting him into a social situation. But there's a lot of different things. You can simply replace a behavior. If you've got a bird playing with something, let's say you don't want them playing with the Q-tip. Not that you wouldn't, but let's say you didn't want them playing with this Q-tip and they had a Q-tip in their beak, you can offer them an alternate. Another fancy name, differential reinforcement of an alternate behavior. So now instead of playing with the one thing, playing with another. Thank you, Cecil, for showing how that works. Also, sitting here not doing anything, offering him something that he can play with could change him into a playful behavior. What we call playful. Active, busy, doing things, okay? So if you have a bird that isn't, hi Snowball, that isn't active, that's one way to make them active, is to offer them things that can stimulate activity. No, there's that behavior again, okay? He understands no. He's starting, this is the male on male behavior that happens in parrots if there's no females around. And the mating season especially, so. They can preen each other's heads. Anything else they shouldn't be preening, so. Right, Snowball? What do you say? What do you say, Snowball? What do you say? Come here. I think we need to redirect you socially. Let's redirect you socially. Hello. What have you been doing? Yeah? Is that what you've been doing? You've been going... Snowball. Snowbird. Snowbird. Now where he was getting a little frisky with Cecil here, now he's involved in a social behavior with me. So mating is one type of social behavior. Now he's talking to me. That's another type of social behavior. So I took a social behavior and converted it to a different type of social behavior. I know with Snowball that he likes to talk back and forth with people. Don't you, Snowball? Don't you, Snowbird? Now I notice Cecil is listening he's listening closely. So you could start with hello, 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 hello. Hello. Hello, Cecil. Hello. Hello, Snowball. Hello. Hello, Cecil. Hello. 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 They get a certain look to their face when they're listening. They seem to be just looking at you, and there's almost a starry-eyed kind of look in their eyes. Hello? Hello? That's a good boy. I got you to make a couple of sounds, but that's about it. It's been tough with him. Nobody spent any time with him for the first 5 years of his life. So learning to speak has been difficult. Although he can say hello now, can't you? And he has the cutest little conversational imitation you've ever heard, where he shakes his head and does the talk. You know, sounds like us. He's not using any words, but it sounds like us. Actually, kind of sounds like an argument, doesn't it? Doesn't it, Cecil? Snowball. Snowball. Now with Snowball, when I first started working with him, you could throw a little lid, and he would grab it, and he would bring it back to you. Okay. You'd throw it maybe 2 feet away. He'd go and grab it and bring it back, and just making the size of the lid a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger. Now he plays Frisbee. And I mean, he really plays Frisbee. So you throw the Frisbee up, he flies up and gets the Frisbee, he throws it back to you. Don't you, Snowball? Don't you, Snowball? Don't you? Can we change your behavior again? I don't know. I've got Cecil on my hand. I'm not sure. Let's not fight. Let's not fight, you two. That's not fight. Bob, give him a break. Come on. Cecil bird, let's try this. Come on. That's it. Bye. Okay. Now step up. Step up. This is his weakest point. You want to step up? Step up. Come on, step up. Come on, step up. Step up. Other foot. Step up. Step up. Good boy. Good boy. You did it. You step up. As difficult as it was to get him to do that little step up maneuver, and involved me actually moving his foot at one point, when he first came here, he would latch himself to cages and not come off the cage. Right? 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 Now, let's see if we can get these two to preen normally. Can you guys preen? Can you guys preen? You guys preen? Now, this is a natural behavior preening. All you have to do is kind of get their heads close together, as long as their attitudes are right, which basically means if they're not exhibiting any lunging or territorial behavior, the feathers on the back of their neck aren't going up when you're trying to do this. So when you have a natural behavior, it's a lot easier to work with. If you have a hungry bird, and you should never starve your birds so that you can train them. That would be wrong. It's not necessary. But if you catch them mid-afternoon when they don't generally eat, just before the evening meal where they start looking for food, say around 2 or so, or just when you get home from work. You get home from work at 5:30 at night, and you go in, you bring your bird out, and they've had the same old food in their cage all day, and you offer them their favorite item that you've taken out of their diet. It's not their favorite piece of food, but they only get it when they're training. So that's when they're going to be most likely to do things for you. The key is to observe their actual behavior and work with it. So if you have a bird, let's say that when you get home, and this is when it happens, maybe the bird doesn't normally lunge, or bite. We're using lunging and biting in this examples here, but only when you come home at night. Are you eating my belt again, Bob? Stop that. But only when you come home at night, and only if you go in the cage just when you get home. So ways you could change that is when you come home at night, change your routine. Don't go right over to the cage. Give it 10 minutes or something, and then go over and produce whatever their favorite treat is, and ask them to step up with their treat, if they know how to step up, of course. You would say, step up and put the treat out, put your hand out, and have them get on your hand. If you have a situation where you have a bird that, let's say that this only happens at night, when you come home, they won't come out of the cage without nipping. If they're okay with sticks, you can put a stick in there for them to climb on. They might run over on the stick to get you. Who knows? It depends on the bird and what their motivation is. One thing that I learned in training that has been the guidelight of my entire time working with these birds is that behavior is a function of its consequences. People go to work for the paycheck. That's not the only reason. There's other consequences. The social environment, the structure. There are a lot of reasons people go to work. There's some people who don't go to work. They have their own business. They set their own times. They do their own work. Everything's scheduled by them, and that's the way they like it. And their consequences are the money they get in, the social contacts they have. There's a lot of different consequences that are positive. Some people think that when they're training a bird, they give that treat, okay, because the behavior is just what you want. You give them the treat, you think that's their only reward. No. And the reason I say no is because I've done it, and I know a lot of other trainers who've tried this. If you take their favorite treat and you sit a little bucket of it down below the training station where you're actually doing training at a perch, that kind of training, because you train all day long. Whenever you're working with birds, you're training, and they're training you and you're training them. They will go for the treat that's in your hand over the one down on the bottom of the perch almost every time. I've known very few birds that would actually go down there to get it, unless you wander off to answer the phone or something. They're not going to do it. They prefer the social side. What about you, social? What about you, Snowball? Do you prefer the social behavior? Do you? Are you a social bird? Snowball? 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 I wouldn't get much out of him if I wasn't being animated and saying things in a childlike manner to him. I know. That's because you're just Snowball. Can we get some head bobbing? So I'm trying to capture that behavior. Can we get some head bobbing? Snowball, 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 snowball. Snowball ball. Snowball.
It's 15 hours.
Snowball. Hello. So watch their behavior, look at the different behaviors that they have, and try to see how you can move them from one behavior to another in certain circumstances. Hi, Snowball. In certain circumstances. I've noticed that with Bob and Cecil, if they're down in his area, if I can get Cecil to move down there slower, take a little more time, if I can not just slightly restrict his movement so it takes longer to get down there, it's more likely that Bob will actually preen him rather than try to push him out of the area. But all these things come from observation, so look and see what they do, the behaviors they have now, and then you can pick certain behaviors as the behaviors that you can shift them to in situations where they're doing behaviors you don't want. So if you have a bird that is screaming, oh, why did you say something, Salamander? One example of changing behavior is I like the way he talks. I like his voice and the different sounds that he makes. The majority of them. It is the latest one he picked up from Sugar that he's turned into the sound from hell. I don't pay any attention to it when he does it. That's the key. I reacted to it at first. That was a mistake. But I don't pay attention to it. But at some point, while he's making those horrible sounds, he will make one of the sounds I like, and I will rush in. And he's quite a social bird, so I can just rush in and say, "Oh, what a good bird," and talk nice to him. And that's done an amazing amount. Come on, sweetheart. Hey, no fighting. No fighting, it's all right. I'd rather have you bite me than him, so that's okay. It's all right. It's all right, sweetie. Sit up here, I'll pet you. Yeah, it's a good boy. I know, you always get a little bit out of sorts when the camera's out. It's gone from about 20 minutes to a half an hour of that a day to about 10 minutes. So it's cut by half or more. And that's just in a month of working with it. It's a little more difficult when you have something like that because he's doing it in his cage, he's doing it in here when I leave the room. So the trick has been to accentuate the positive sounds and to ignore the others. One thing you definitely don't want to do, we call this extinction, but you do not want to just ignore a behavior you don't want from a bird. Sooner or later, you're going to end up accidentally reinforcing that behavior, and then you're going to have a worse behavior. For example, if you have a bird that screams, if you ignore it and they get louder and louder and louder and louder, trying to get your attention, and then you walk into the room just as they start to scream, they see you, you see them, reinforcement, boom, now you've got a louder screech. So you don't want to do that. You want to replace it with something else. And if a bird makes a sound you like fairly frequently, then when they're making the other sound, you ignore it, and as soon as they make that positive sound, you reinforce it. You say, good bird, you take them a treat, whatever they need. Secondary reinforcers like good bird and petting, those things take a while to develop. They're stronger, they're longer lasting than food. Because eventually you fill up. When you fill up, food doesn't mean anything to you. But the social thing, the petting or the good bird, that can last a lifetime. As long as you keep it positive. There's one place where you don't want to console a bird. I've mentioned this, I think, before, but if you have a bird that's at the vet and it's in pain, you don't say anything like, it's okay, it's all right. You don't try to calm them, because then your calming voice will become a voice of horror. It'll be like in that one Batman voice, that one Batman movie with the scarecrow. It'll become like this whenever they hear it, and they won't respond positively to it. So you try not to use a calming voice when they're hurt or agitated, because you don't want them to associate your calming voice with the pain or the agitation. Right, Cecil? Cecil says right. Cecil says right. So watch their behavior. Learn the different behaviors they do. Find ways to shift them from one behavior you don't like to the behaviors you do. They're natural. You've seen them do them before. You just have to find a bridge over to doing that behavior. So who wants to say goodbye? That's it for this episode. Who wants to say goodbye? Cecil? Snowball, you said it last time. Bob, do you want to say goodbye? Come on, Bob. Come on. Come on. Oh, come on. Come on. Boy, he's really stuck in his spot down here. Come on. Say goodbye to the people, Bob. Come on. Say goodbye. Here. Bob, come here. Bob-a-doo. Say goodbye to the people. Upside down, Bob. Upside down Bob, yay! Babaloo. We'll see you next time.
We welcome your feedback on our videos. We look forward to your insights, tips, questions, stories, and pictures. You can email us at cockatude@chloesanctuary.org, reach us on Twitter @Chloe Sanctuary, and join with us on our Facebook Chloe Sanctuary page.
Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.